What was your scariest moment of the 13 years you were on the run?
Wow, man, I had a lot of them, but maybe when I was on the roof there in Caracas getting interrogated by the colonel, that wasn't fun. I was thinking that, hey, they got me on this one. I just kept denying it and denying that I was, wanted for drugs in the state, and that I was, you know, mm, Doug Greavy, and I was from Great Britain. And what saved me there was when they took the Venezuelan Saluda, which is like a national ID card of Venezuela, to the British embassy, and not my stolen British passport. Obviously, if they'd taken the stolen British passport, it's coming up stolen. But when they took the Saluda, when I was in the Venezuelan system and not in the English system, it cleared me, and they signed that I wasn't wanted for anything. I was clean, so my bribe went down from probably a $500,000 to the 6,000 because the colonel wanted vacation for him and his wife. But they palm printed me after that. I'd been in the jail probably about 5 days between like the holding tank for a couple days and then like a military installation, another jail, and they took me up on a roof, had like the steel chair under the hot tropical sun, and let that thing get hot for a while, and you sat down there basically in your underwear. They had you stripped down, and you were handcuffed in front, not behind the back, and then they sat you down in the chair and had you wait for a while and wait, and it's probably, you think it's an hour or two, it's probably like 30 or 40 minutes, and the colonel comes out and starts drilling you. Everything's in Spanish, and telling you you're not who you say you are, that you're an American wanted for drug charges. And he's saying the truth, but you're denying it because you got to have yourself convinced you're not that person. They didn't know your name, but they just had the intuition from their gut that, hey, this guy is not British. That's not his name. He's an American. They had my story down. They didn't have the name, but they had me. And I'm thinking, wow, man. If this doesn't go right, I'm going back for life, man. I mean, the party's over. So that was one of the real spooky ones. Another time was when the U.S. Customs had me stripped down in Miami when I had a brain fart and ended up going to Germany to try and rescue my future wife from a Belgium, and I don't know if they called it a bomb threat or whatever. It was Mexico City to Frankfurt, but it ended up in Miami. And then when they pulled me there and they had me through immigration, I thought I was cool. But then customs, they must have called down and told him, this guy in line, man, he's got a lot of stamps in his passport. And some of those stamps were from like source countries, say Mexico for heroin and Colombia for cocaine. So they pull me, they strip me, and say, hey, this guy deserves more surveillance or being checked out totally. I thought they might even put me in like a dry suit, which is when they think you got drugs in you, and there's like clamps on your ankle or your wrists and your ankles, and they put you in a tank until you got to do a passage, and then they check that for drugs. They didn't do that, but they stripped me down and bend over and spread them that number. And then when I got out, I walked over to the where you push the button. Of course, they flagged me in right away and started going through all my clothes, my underwear and stuff. And I had a shaving can in there that had about 10 grand in it. It was rolled up. It wasn't like flat with a bill, so it looked like a mask. When they x-rayed it, went right through, and the guy didn't try and unscrew the bottom or anything, so that went through. And then the guy walks up to me and he asked me, he says, hey, you know why we pulled you? And I said, no. He said, man, you had stamps from 2 source countries. I said, what was that? He said, Colombia and Mexico. And I knew one time my wife and I was flying from Ecuador back to Venezuela. It's at night, man, and we having a problem with the plane, and they put it down in Bogota. And I couldn't pay the guy not to stamp my entry. And that passport had that entry stamped to Colombia. Other than that, it never had any Colombian stamps. And that came back to haunt me. That's one of the reasons they pulled me. Anyway, so it's now you're free to go. This after he revises everything. I'm walking away, and this guy asked me, he says, what's the name of your travel agency? Because I told him I was a travel agency and I was going around the world on familiarization trips. Anyway, I told him, IntelliTravel International. He says, "Hey, you're good to go."